Overthinking everything. Ever feel like you can't turn your mind off? Like the thoughts just keep looping, analyzing, comparing, replaying, until you've imagined every outcome except the one that actually happens? That's one of the biggest struggles of highly intelligent people. The brain never rests. Even simple decisions branch into endless what-ifs. Picking dinner turns into a debate on nutrition, budgets, and long-term health outcomes. Saying yes to a plan turns into a risk assessment about energy levels, timing, and possible regret. You're not solving problems, you're just managing the noise of a system that refuses to power down. Every question spawns another question, and every answer seems uncertain at best. You notice details no one else even registers. The tone someone used, the pause between their words, the look they gave before the look they meant to give. It's information overload that makes you second-guess everything. You think if you can just think about it enough, it might give you some sense of control, but it never does. That's the hidden cost of intelligence. A mind that sees too much has to question it all. Constant pressure to succeed. When people see you as the smart one, the capable one, the one who always figures it out, expectations pile up fast. Every success becomes a new standard, and every mistake looks like you're slipping. You end up performing more than living, trying to live up to a reputation that stopped feeling like yours a long time ago. The praise doesn't relax you, it traps you. Because once people decide you're exceptional, you don't get to be average again. Everyone else began writing your story, deciding what you should do, how far you should go, and what success should look like. And deep down, you can't shake the feeling they're just waiting for you to fail. Instead of feeling proud, you just feel constant pressure. Every achievement is just a brief delay before the next demand, and every opportunity is another chance to mess something up. So you just keep chasing the version of yourself everyone else seems to see, while quietly wondering if you'll ever get to just be enough. Chronic boredom. When you're highly intelligent, your mind runs faster than the world around it. It's like you're wired for motion in a place that moves at half speed. You need depth, challenge, momentum, but you get small talk, waiting rooms, and endless repetition disguised as routine. Dullness and boredom are constant companions. You finish the puzzle too fast, predict the ending too soon, and spot the pattern before anyone else realizes there is one. That's when restlessness starts to seep in. You try to fix it by multitasking, by learning, by overcommitting. Anything to keep your mind busy enough not to notice how flat everything feels. But it never lasts. The moment you master something, it turns from stimulating to mechanical. Like your brain's already looking over your shoulder, asking, okay, now what? The mundane, the monotonous, the trivial all feel like pure torture. People tell you to relax, to enjoy the moment. But they don't realize that for you, stillness feels like starvation. Your mind feeds on challenge, and the modern world just doesn't serve that dish. Social awkwardness and small talk fatigue. People with sharper minds have no problem talking when they have something to say. The problem is, most conversations aren't built for that. They revolve around weather, errands, and weekend plans like satellites stuck in low orbit. For everyone else, it's comfortable. For you, it's excruciating. While others are chatting to fill time, you're trying to find a point you can actually relate to. Most of what people talk about feels painfully superficial, like background noise you're expected to nod through. You mention something that genuinely interests you, and it usually goes over their heads. They smile politely, change the subject, and you're left feeling stupid for trying to talk about something that actually matters. You overthink your tone, your timing, your phrasing, trying to sound normal while wondering what normal might actually be. You never quite know what to do with your hands or how long to hold eye contact before it gets weird. Then you replay the whole exchange later, trying to figure out where you went wrong. The truth is, you crave connection, not conversation. You just want someone you don't have to translate for. Someone who hears what you mean, not just what you say. Social isolation and loneliness. The invitations never come, but you stopped expecting them a long time ago. It's not rejection, not really, just the slow realization that most people never think to include you. You watch friendships form around you, easy and unplanned, while you hover nearby, trying to figure out how people make it look so natural. At first, you tell yourself it doesn't matter. You dive into work, hobbies, anything that feels productive. But eventually, the quiet begins to echo. Meals are silent. Even victories feel smaller when there's no one to tell. Despite your intelligence, you find yourself wondering if there's something wrong with you, like you're just not built to fit in. Maybe you talk too deeply, feel too strongly, think too much. It's not just that you're alone, it's that you feel invisible, like living behind a one-way mirror. You can see everyone clearly, but no one ever looks back. You watch people laugh, share simple moments, reach for each other without hesitation, and it feels like a language you were never taught. You convince yourself it's fine, that solitude has its peace. But late at night, that peace feels a lot more like loneliness. And you still crave that one genuine connection, even if you've stopped believing it will ever happen. Analysis paralysis. Some decisions are meant to be simple. That is, until your mind makes them virtually impossible to decide. When you see every possible outcome to every possible choice, decisions that take most people seconds can hold you hostage for hours. You weigh every variable until the moment to act has already passed, and then you replay it all again, this time analyzing why you didn't choose sooner. You rationalize it, saying you just need more information. But deep down, you know it's not about facts. It's about fear. Fear of regret. Fear of waste. Fear of being wrong when you should have known better. You tell yourself you'll decide when you're certain, but certainty never shows up. There's always one more factor, one more angle, one more thing to check. By the time you finally make a choice, it's less relief than surrender. Because eventually, the weight of deciding feels heavier than the decision itself. Imposter Syndrome. Does it ever feel like you're just pretending to know what you're doing? Like everyone else got the manual and you're just improvising, hoping no one notices. You hit milestones that should feel good. Promotions, praise, progress. But instead of pride, you get panic. You keep wondering how long before someone realizes you're not as capable as they think. Every success feels temporary, every compliment feels like luck, and every mistake feels like proof that they were right about you all along. That's the downside of high intelligence. The more you understand, the more you realize how much you still don't know. And in the meantime, it feels like you're making it up as you go. You know you should be confident by now, but confidence never sticks. The second you start to feel sure of yourself, your mind reminds you all the reasons why you shouldn't. So, you keep working harder, chasing that moment where you finally feel legitimate, because you're fighting against more than just failure. You're fighting the fear of being exposed. Moral exhaustion. They say ignorance is bliss, but for highly intelligent minds, that luxury doesn't exist. You see every flaw, in systems, in logic, and people. And once you notice them, you can't unsee them. The hypocrisy, the shortcuts, the excuses that everyone else seems fine with drive you crazy. Your brain can't accept that's just how it is, because that line feels like a personal insult. You care too much to look away, but you think too deeply to believe change comes easy. So you get stuck between awareness and helplessness, analyzing every broken part of the world while trying not to lose your faith in it. After a while, it wears you down. Watching people repeat the same mistakes you already saw coming, listening to logic collapse under ego, it eats at your patience, one bite at a time. You catch yourself going quiet, not because you stopped caring, but because caring started to hurt. Still, you hold yourself to a standard no one else seems to notice. You keep trying to do what's right, even when it costs you. And somewhere along the line, that starts to feel less like virtue and more like a job you don't get paid to do. Emotional detachment. When your mind is trained to analyze everything, feelings feel like unreliable data, and when they hit too hard, your first instinct is to pull back, to try to understand them instead of letting them in. You break down sadness into cause and effect, and chart happiness like a brief spike in a graph. The more you recognize what drives emotion, the harder it is to let yourself just feel it. Even in the middle of something genuine, part of your brain keeps dissecting it, asking what it means, where it came from, and how long it will last. People might see you as calm or unshakable, but really, you've just gotten used to holding emotions at arm's length. For a highly analytical mind, feelings turn into something you monitor rather than experience, because logic always seems to offer more control. Hyper self-criticism. Ever feel like your brain doesn't turn off after solving a problem? It just turns on you instead. When you're highly intelligent, every action, every result, every tiny imperfection becomes another thing to examine and critique. Even when everything goes right, your mind points out what you could have done better. Perfection stopped being ambition a long time ago. Now, it's the minimum requirement. If something isn't flawless, it's failure. You set goals so unrealistic they feel like punishment, and when you can't meet them, there's no sympathy. Just another round of judgment from the same voice that created them. No matter how hard you try, there is no good enough. Every time you reach a goal, your brain quietly moves the finish line. Progress doesn't feel like progress, just another reminder of how far you still have to go. That inner voice never shuts up, picking apart every word, every effort, every thought. You don't need anyone else to doubt you. You already do that better than everyone. Questioning authority and convention. Smart people don't rebel to be difficult. They rebel because blind obedience feels like betrayal. When your brain is wired to analyze everything, you can't help but notice when rules contradict logic, when leaders mistake confidence for competence, when outdated tradition continues simply because no one stopped to question it. To most people, going along keeps the peace, but to you, compliance feels like surrender. You can't silence the part of your mind that asks why, and because that's the way it's always been, never counts as an answer. It doesn't mean you want disorder, you just want things to make sense. But questioning the system tends to make the system question you, so you get labeled difficult, defiant, too intense. All for doing the one thing intelligent minds are built to do: think for themselves. Existential fatigue. A mind that can imagine every path, every outcome, every version of what life could be, eventually struggles to believe any of them really matter. You've analyzed purpose from every direction, questioned every belief, and picked apart every reason people give for why we exist, and somehow none of it seems to fit. You tell yourself there must be more, some greater pattern that ties it all together. But the more you think, the more it unravels. Every answer splinters into more questions, until meaning becomes nothing more than a story you keep repeating just to fill the silence. It's not hopelessness, it's more a kind of weariness. The kind that comes from realizing that intelligence can explain everything except the reason you're here. People say intelligence is a gift, but some days it feels more like a burden. Eyes wide open means you can never fully shut down.